Tito stated again that raising the minimum wage will reduce poverty, but according to Maxford Nelson, unfortunately, as minimum wage expert David Newmark of the University of California in Irvine points out in a study, there is simply no evidence that boosting the minimum wage would stimulate the economy through consumer spending. And then that raising the minimum wage would stimulate the economy, but that isn't true. According to Jim Garrity, he says, in short, an American with a $10.10 per hour minimum wage would look indistinguishable from the one we see today on the issue of income inequality, as well as the economic aspect that more conservatives focus on, opportunity for advancement. The workers making minimum wage may very well appreciate the $85 to $114 per week, but it's not going to have much of an impact on their purchasing power. Small companies on tight margins may find that the $2.85 per worker per hour cost more difficult to handle, or may raise prices. Of course, if prices go up, that will eat into the budgets of those minimum wage workers pretty fast. So just because people are making more, that doesn't mean that they're gonna ultimately have more to spend. It'll look like it, but companies will raise prices because they're paying their workers more. And then he also states that for starters, 2/3 of the spending increase takes the form of debt on average. According to the authors, most of the spending response is caused by a small number of households who purchase vehicles, not basic necessities. So like some people are in poverty because they're making minimum wage, but when they do start making more money, it's not like they're gonna go buy more fruits and vegetables for their kids. Like they're gonna go and buy a new car, buy something that isn't a necessity. Such debt must be repaid, which limits future consumer spending. Still, it is undeniable that some households see their incomes and spending rise following a minimum wage increase. The question is, do the economic benefits outweigh the costs? And he states that business owners agree that federal minimum wage should be raised, but that doesn't mean that it's the smartest idea. From Kevin Hassett's article, he states that because minimum wage is a really popular topic, everybody knows that people want minimum wage to be raised, and he says that one reason public officials continue to embrace such a bad idea is that it's popular and thus can provide an opportunity to score political points. So just because it's a popular idea doesn't mean that it's a good idea. And there are alternatives to fighting poverty other than raising the minimum wage. Again, according to Kevin Hassett, the case for a higher minimum wage grows even weaker when you stop to consider that there are vastly superior alternatives for steering money to low-income households. For example, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has found that expanding the earned income tax credit is a much more efficient way to fight poverty than increasing the minimum wage. Why have we so often embraced a less effective tool? A tax credit is less politically palatable because it takes money directly out of the federal coffers, while the minimum wage can be raised without showing up directly on the government's books. The cost of a higher minimum wage is borne by employers and consumers. So expanding the earned income tax credit would ultimately be more effective than raising the federal minimum wage, which does not guarantee that people will get out of poverty or increase the growth of jobs.
Carolina, because you're sitting off to the side, you should probably put that one
Yeah.
high up in the air
I
so
saw
everybody can
it,
see it.
yeah.
Okay.